Hello, this is going to be a lore reading. We're going to see what I learned by destroying the Broodmother and also finding and destroying Caradon, getting Bronca the Anvil of the Void. Let's see. Creatures, what do we got? Broodmother. It is well known that Darkspawn carry off those captured in their raids to underground lairs. Most assume that the prisoners are eaten or somehow tainted and turned into Darkspawn themselves, though this could never account for the sheer numbers of the Horde. Forays by the Grey Wardens into the underground have uncovered the answer. When exposed to the Darkspawn taint, men are driven mad and eventually die. Women, however, undergo great pain and gross mutations that cause most of them to perish. Those that survive, however, become the grotesque brood mothers. These giant, twisted behemoths birth many darkspawn at a time. A single brood mother can create thousands of darkspawn over the course of her lifetime. Each type of darkspawn is born of different brood mothers. Humans produce Hurlocks, dwarves produce Genlocks, elves give birth to Shrieks, and from Kunari are born ogres. Which would kind of explain why ogres are as rare as they are, and it seems like Genlocks are the most common. Elves are pretty rare on the surface, so it would also explain why those are relatively rare. Let's see. I think this is the one. 310 Towers. They name it a blight, the third by their reckoning. It was just the fight to our ancestors continued. Even though it shifts setting, the hordes that press their borders surge and release, spilling across the surface. They fortify and follow. It was not their way to let the enemy rest. 325 Towers. The surface kingdoms declare victory. The horde is crushed. The push halted, and celebrations begin as humans thank the skies and their maker. Beneath their gaze and their feet, the Darkspawn retreat to the steps of our Tigers. New front lines are drawn across old. They settle in to breed. The memories say, as has happened twice before, and likely in the darkness before that. From chapters 14-17 of Stellat Naga. The Stone Unheld, a commentary on the roll of years by Shaper Erden. Characters. Balin Adukin. His efforts paid off. He was named King of Orzammar by the Assembly. His opposition of Prince Balin's bid for the throne ended badly. The Assembly named the Prince King of Orzammar, and Balin's first ask was called for Hermont's execution. Though it doesn't actually say that he was actually executed. But yeah, I think that was kind of a thing in some monarchies where opposing the king was tantamount to treason, because the king represents the entire country. Algren. Grey Warden Duran mounted a search for Bronca and found her and the Anvil of the Void, for which she led her house to their deaths. Well, Hespith is still technically alive, and I don't know that we actually found all of her house. They could have still been, some of them could have still been alive. Probably not. Algren enjoys challenging his pal. Alright, yep, that was the alcohols thing. Notes. What do we have? Load limit reached. The mass will have an effect, he says. Mass effect? As long as it lifts us out, I figure. Should have specified within my lifetime. Gives us time to talk, he says. How's a dwarf get named Shepherd? Oh, it actually is that. Up your shaft. No, really, because blah blah blah. Axe answers, but I still hear him. Drip, ground, worse than his talking. I think I'll drop out for some air. Excerpt, Dwarven verse in one volume, section, load limit reached. Anonymous scratching recovered from a cage hoist. Eventually. I didn't actually think that would be a reference to Mass Effect. Deadcast, let's see. Casualty, Darius Velden, lieutenant, found dead with his squad. The corpse was left untouched, suggesting the Darkspawn feared his spirit even in death. His Frosty defending his men was corroborated by survivors before they succumbed to corruption. It is rare for a soldier's death to exceed the honors given at his enlistment, but Ferald was an odd one, an agitator. His eccentric promises were disruptive, and I fear his death may demoralize more of the Legion than actually heard his fantasies firsthand. He was committed to the stone, with his insignia as honorable a burial as we can manage with the spawn at our heels, but officially he has formed a second front. Better his foolish hopes are deluded by time than killed outright. From a bi-weekly casualty report by Sergeant Unger. The Gangu Sage? The stone has a will that surrounds and directs. She guides even when we are willfully blind to her influence, but she is not pure. The stone bears a corruption as old as balance. For the dwarves to prosper, the Gangu, the waste and unstable rock must be cut away. But like the stone, the Gangu also has an influence. Each of us must face this, must carve the worst of ourselves away, but the Legion of the Dead bears a unique responsibility. Only the fully adorned of the Legion can face the Gangu, can cut it into the darkness which afflicts the raw stone. She encircles us, and we must protect her here where darkness meets light. A Legion of the Dead inscription, undated. And that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, do any relevant things with YouTube's buttons, and have a nice day.